Are we live and in person?
Audio running through mics. Yes.
This mic?
No, Cheryl.
I like this.
Cheryl.
Yeah, because my boobs
Cheryl.
my boobs come up when I do that.
Cheryl, we're talking that one, remember?
This mic.
This one is the one that.
Play along.
Is it both mics?
Cheryl, play along. Well, you don't have to, but but play along. Okay. So welcome to John's Joint. Today we're interviewing, we're chatting with my daughter-in-law, Cheryl.
Me.
I'm sorry we don't have the beans and cornbread or anything like that.
No, that's okay.
So,
You didn't even tell me what we're chatting about.
I know I'm
I
not.
feel so anxious.
So this is my disclaimer that I thought I'd put in here first. So I'm a dad,
Uh-oh.
an older dad that hopefully has some wisdom. I hope I can provide some of that wisdom to you and Zach without offending you.
Probably not.
Is what it is at this point.
Too late.
So everybody knows. So you grew up where?
Menominee, Michigan.
Menominee, Michigan.
Yeah.
So you were how old?
10.
And then what happened?
Or actually 9. And then at 9, me and my mother drove all the way to Nevada, Carson City, Nevada.
And why was that? And if there's something you're uncomfortable with, raise your hand and I'll go, okay, well.
Yeah, my grandmother on my mom's side was kind of struggling financially. So my mom was hoping that by us coming up there, she'd be able to help her out.
Okay. So then you have, hold on, your grandmother on your mom's side.
Yeah, so my mom.
Okay, so your mom and you are living in Michigan.
Yeah.
And your grandma's down here.
Yeah.
And you moved to help with grandma.
Hopefully help, but we didn't.
Oh, okay, so that was the plan.
Yes.
So you get to Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
And then?
I'm
and then that didn't work out. That didn't work out that well?
My dad was supposed to sell everything.
Oh, wait, hold on. I should stop you. So
okay.
That's your mom and you, and your dad's still here.
Dad's still in Menominee, yeah.
Dad and mom loving or no, or? At this time.
At any time, no. No, I don't know. They were kind of like me and my ex-husband. My mom and dad were better friends than lovers.
Okay.
So there was a lot of... And my mom and dad kind of fight the same. Like when they feel like they're put in a corner, they just start saying mean things.
Yeah, I kind of know how to do that.
Yeah, so do I. So I've gotten better at walking away in my older ages.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's what I grew up with. So at the time, I didn't think anything of it. Now I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, it probably wasn't, the greatest environment. But yeah, me and my mom moved to Nevada in April of 2001. Yeah. And then I don't know for sure how long it was till Dad got there. I know it was a while, but I know he was there before September because he was there when September 11th happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to sell everything he does, and then he moves down there too.
He sells everything, but he also drank it. So.
Oh, okay.
And then him and my uncle drove down with whatever little they had left.
So now you're all in Nevada.
Yep.
Living where?
We are all living with my grandmother.
Okay.
So my dad, my uncle, my mom.
So can I ask, what was the problem with Grandma? Did Grandma not have an income and she needed some financial support to help her keep going?
Kind of. So what had happened is she had her own business for a long time where she was cleaning houses.
What kind of business? Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask.
Where she was cleaning houses.
Huh?
Sometimes, there was times where she was living with the people that she was cleaning for, and then there was times where she just had multiple clients, so she had her own place. But she ended up getting a really bad bone spur in her foot, and it kind of put everything to a stop because she didn't have, it wasn't big enough cleaning business to where she had other workers. It was just her. So once that happened, it was the end of it. And so, yeah, everything just kind of fell apart for her.
So now you're out there, you're living with grandma.
Yeah.
And okay, what road do we go down now? Meaning, are you moving out? Is you and your mom moving out? Is your family? Do we sell? Are they in a house, an apartment, a trailer, or what?
We lived in a complex of townhouses. Some of them were owned by the people who lived in them, and some of them were rented. The one we lived in was rented. My Uncle Rick got his own apartment. He stuck around for a couple months, and then he went back to Michigan. My dad stayed with us for maybe a month after Rick left, and then while I was, he was really struggling with alcohol and gambling, and as you know, if you know Nevada, gambling is literally everywhere. Like, you can't go to a restaurant,
gas station.
You can't go to a restaurant. It's not. It's beyond gas stations. It's like you can't go into a convenience store, a restaurant, a bathroom without there being.
It's called a revenue stream.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's why Nevada doesn't have state tax, is because they don't need it.
Yeah.
They got hoes and they got prostitutes and gambling. Everything's legal there. So he was really struggling with the gambling and the alcohol at that time. And so my mom thought it would be best if he moved back to Michigan with his family to get away from.
Because he needed the drinking buddy.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the whole thought process was behind that for sure. But that happened while I was on a camping trip with my friend. So I came home.
And so you came home and Dad's gone.
To Dad being gone, yeah.
And there was nothing.
There was no
to you saying this is gonna happen.
Yeah, there was no signs of anything happening. There was no.
Did you do? I know I don't like to say these things, but did you do a what the fuck?
I did. Yeah, I was.
You got corn dog.
I got corn dog.
What up, corn dog?
Are you actually eating it?
No, he's just.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Show
because
grandma.
You don't like hot
Show
dogs.
grandma corn dog.
No, he's just looking.
Just licking
corn dog. So Dad is gone.
So yeah, Dad went back to Michigan, and that was that.
And you and Mom did what?
Stayed with Nana for I think a year longer, and then Mom finally. Well, Mom met a boyfriend, and then we moved in with him.
Same guy she's with now, or different guy?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. This was
Okay, but hold on.
a different guy.
I understand that. Okay, Mom meets somebody new and da-da-da. Assuming Mom and Dad are not divorced yet.
Oh, no, they were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
They did that pretty quick.
Okay.
It's Nevada. You can get divorced within an hour.
Nice.
You can get married and divorced in the same day.
So yeah, this isn't just working out for me.
Yep, you literally can.
When did you get married? Well, we went through the drive-through about an hour ago.
Yep.
So Mom and Dad are divorced. Mom finds a new guy, and you're living with him. And we left Nana out in the cold.
I don't really. I had my. I had some feelings about my grandmother at that time, so I don't think I really cared to know anything. I just didn't really. That house was a lot for me.
Toxic.
I went from a household where we ate dinners on the living room floor while watching movies, and we hung out all the time and did whatever, to a house where you couldn't even talk at the dinner table during dinner.
Wow.
So that was difficult. It was a difficult adjustment for me.
You know, it's funny that you said something like that, because and Lori and I have talked about this too. I had a grandma when I was little that was very much like that. And, I don't want to say she was a bitch, but she was very, this is the way things go. And what's that saying where children should be seen, not heard, or something like that, Yep. And this one and I remember this stuff. It made a bad mark on me. However, only to find out that grandma had some issues. And late in life, this kind of goes down the road with my mom too, is both of them, because it was my mom's mom, is they became the most remarkable people that you want to talk to. But it wasn't till way down the road.
Later.
Yeah, like when I was little, they were. So yeah, so now you're living with mom's boyfriend, and you.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
11. 10,
Okay.
11.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to school.
Yeah, I started middle school. It's my first year of middle school.
How'd that go? Middle school.
Oh, terrible.
Nah.
I was a horrible student. I struggled with the idea of homework. I was very much. I think the thing I really struggled with was in middle school is I don't know if anyone else went through this in middle school, but it went from having one piece of homework every night to a piece of homework per class every night.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like I spent so much time on homework that I had no me time. And so I just stopped. I just gave up on homework. I said, I can't. I think the thing that really struggled with me is most nights I couldn't even get the amount of homework done before bedtime anyways. That I was like, what's the point in even doing any of it?
I had a big head case with me was we lived in Davenport, but outside Davenport there was a lot of kids, farm kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they had that same issue was, I go home and I have to work on the farm. That's just what we do.
Yeah.
And you're dead tired and you come in and you go to sleep. And then the next morning you get up and do it. When am I supposed to do this?
Yeah.
And I got it in my head, although I'm not a farmer, I got it in my head. It was like, why is this fair?
Well, it's not.
I'm not bringing the farm chores to school with me.
We don't bring work home as adults.
Exactly.
I mean, if you do, it's because you get paid salary, and that's a whole different story. I'm not getting paid nothing in school.
Yeah. I was lucky is I was so damn bored in school, in middle school particularly, that if somebody gave me homework, I would have it done in the next class or in that class.
I wish, but I didn't think of that.
And I had a B+ average. So I was just, and when my parents came to school for a parent teacher, how's John doing? And all my teachers would say, John could be doing a lot better if he wouldn't be like reading the newspaper and gazing out the window. And I kept thinking, a B+ average. I mean, what?
Yeah.
And doing that, but I was so bored. Were you bored? Or like, I know you didn't want to do homework, but
honestly, I don't know if I was really bored because
what did you think of school?
There were classes and things that I really enjoyed. Like I've always loved history. I've always loved science. So like those classes specifically, and especially in that first year of middle school, I had some really cool teachers. That were like, they would do like interactive things as far as like history and science goes, but yeah, I don't know if it was so much bored as it was. It really seemed like grades at that time consisted of just homework. Because I would do the in-class work. I would kill on the tests, but I'd still have D's and F's, and and after half a year of getting grounded for your grades, you just kind of don't care. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna be grounded. So what? Like.
So I know I've heard this before, but please retell it. So somewhere in that ballpark, you met Jesse.
I didn't meet Jesse until my last year of middle school.
Yeah. And?
So I met Jessica. In middle school, I had moved middle schools all 3 years.
Because of mom moving?
Yeah. So that first boyfriend
didn't work out.
No, that was a trauma situation for me. And then after that one, mom got a different boyfriend who lived in Reno, or well, outside of Reno. It's like what De Pere
to Green Bay.
To Green Bay. It's still Green Bay, but it's
just like you walk across the street.
So 7th grade was in Reno. I didn't make any friends. I didn't want to. I didn't care to know anybody. I didn't care to meet anybody. I was just like, I don't want to be here. I don't like any of these people. So I can tell you one name of one person. I can't even tell you teachers' names. I just didn't care. 8th grade, we moved back to Carson, but I had to go to a different middle school because we lived on the other side of town because we moved back in with Nana.
Oh, okay.
So I had to make new friends. Well, I only knew one girl at the time, and she was part of the really popular girls. Like, they were like...
The Mean Girls?
Yeah. I mean, they were. They were like...
Were you a part of the Mean Girls?
I was.
I was going to say, or were you an
But
outsider to the Mean Girls?
Well, kind of, because I was strange.
You were a fringe Mean Girl?
Because I was strange. So they were like... Because my friend was...
Yeah, we should bring her in because we don't want her to kill us or anything.
So they were like, yeah, come sit with us. And they were nice to me, but you can tell, like, sometimes I would say something, then they would just kind of look at me funny, and I'd be like, okay, we're not on that page. Got it.
Your dad didn't bring you to school in the Benz today?
Yeah. So, but I had 3 different classes with Jessica. And at one point, it was Halloween, and she was dressed as an angel. And I was dressed as a spider fairy. My mom had made the costume for me. I was really into fairies at the time. I had all these little like fairy knickknacks and stuff. And, so we both had wings. And for some reason, the school decided that Halloween was a good day to do a scoliosis test on all the children.
Nice.
So all of us had to undress from our costumes. Well, needless to say, my costume was quite complicated because it was homemade. So I needed help. So as we're standing in line, Jessica's next to me in line, and I told her, hey, I'll hold your wings for you while you get yours done if you hold my wings for me while I get mine done. And I don't know what that did, but it just sparked. It was just like a light to fire, and we were off to the races.
Nice.
And I never sat with the Mean Girls ever again. Like, literally that lunch day, I went and found Jessica, and I sat with her and her friends, and that was it.
You know, you hear it a lot, and what you just said just made me think of this. You hear it a lot is, and I bring this up to people too about, so I was with Tiffany, we were walking into Walmart, I don't know if you heard this story, and we're going to go get something. We get almost right up to the door, and there's this big gal that comes walking out, and she's pretty, but she walks by us, and Tiffany stops and goes, hold on, and walks over to her. I just want to tell you how beautiful your top looks on you. Mm-hmm. And it just lit her face up. And it goes back to what I'm learning as an older person now is take a moment. Mm-hmm. Because like you had a moment.
Yeah.
That maybe if you were 3 steps in front.
Yeah, if there's only like 3
never
more people
happened
behind us or anything. I don't know.
You never know how you can change a person's life.
Yeah.
So now you're in. So where did your middle school go? Did your middle school go from 6 to 8, or did it go to 9?
My first and my last middle school were 6 to 8, and my middle school was just 7th and 8th.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I was like the freshman of middle school 2 years in a row.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then now you're in 8th grade.
Yep.
And where do you go from there? Where do you go to high school? Are you still in the same place?
Yep. We were still living with my grandmother. We were working on during that summer, my mom actually got an apartment directly across from the high school, the Carson City High School. And so that was pretty cool because I could just walk to school, which was really nice for me because my mom, love her to death, but she is like road rage from hell. And the last thing you want that person to do is to drive you to high school every morning. So living across the street from the school where I could walk myself to and from was very delightful.
Nice.
It also meant that I didn't have to wake up as early.
And assuming Jesse came with you.
Yep. Yeah, we were in high school together.
So did you spend all 3 years in high school there? At that high school?
4 years, but no.
4 years.
Yep. So my entire freshman year was in Carson High, and the first 2 months of my sophomore year were in Carson High. And then that's when my mother met my stepdad, Dan. And well, they knew each other before. That's a whole story. But my mom went to college with his wife.
Huh.
Because my mom went to college in that time frame of the boyfriend in Carson and the boyfriend in Reno. So they became friends, and then we got to know the family really well, like Dan and his wife at the time. And then she kind of blew up the marriage and friendship with meth.
Oh.
So just like
meth is more important. Duh.
So, and then I think mom and dad just kind of found common ground on it. Like, you know what I mean? I think they were both really hurt by the situation, and they just kind of found common ground on it, and they just kind of brought them together. So, but when they got together, Dan was already established sheriff deputy in Fernley, and so him moving to Carson wasn't ideal. So us moving to Fernley was, which I did not take well, was not happy about, and fought tooth and nail about. I mean, I had gone behind my mom's back and asked other adults if they would take me in. I had 2 families that were willing to let me live with them until I finished high school, and I was denied. I was denied, needless to say. Yeah.
So it's funny, and in my happy little notes, I have that word fate. So I remember moving everybody to Green Bay, Seymour at the time, and your husband was just so pissed at me. And as I said, that word fate comes back, because you don't know what could have happened to you, but look what did happen to you. And if you look at it as a positive way,
I have a lot of fate moments in my life.
Yeah. So it's how the planets align, if you will.
And I have to admit, moving to Fernley was probably the best thing at that time for me. But at your age, you don't know that. No, I was in a relationship with a guy that was extremely toxic, and
okay, stop there.
I look back at that.
So
and I'm like, ew.
Why did you allow yourself to do that? I shouldn't use women as a generality, but why do women do that? Why do women? This guy is the biggest nut job in the world, and yet you hang on to them.
Well, do you want me to get real personal about it?
Not necessarily, but as a general statement, is it because I don't want to be alone, or is it because of something else?
Well, sometimes I think, especially for women, I think it's our nature to take care of people. Yeah. It's just generally that's how it is. Even in animals, you look at the female is the one that nurtures and take care of. They're the one who go and hunt.
Yeah.
And I think when we see a wounded animal, it drives us even more to be like, I can help this. I can fix this.
I was going to say that. I can fix this.
And then when you come from an environment in which I came from, where all you know is that wounded animal, you're like,
it's a general thing that I'm just going from this wounded to this wounded to this wounded.
And I grew up all the women in my family are extremely codependent. My grandmother used to make dinner for her mistresses. Like, it was, my mom stayed with my dad for a long time, knowing that wasn't, it's just kind of who they are. Yeah. And I grew up thinking, and I say this, and I'll say this again, because I've been through like therapy and stuff, and I learned stuff about myself and the world and the universe. But media does not fucking help that. Does not help it one bit. Yeah. I mean, look at the movie Grease, right? Everyone loves the movie Grease. Everyone loves that movie. I love that movie.
However,
you want to talk about codependency 101. Holy crap. She changed everything about who she was for him. Now,
you don't know that. Maybe that was her inner self that she wanted to be.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe her family made her wholesome, and that's not who she wanted to be.
Yeah, the girl who puked when she got her ear pierced. I'm sure that's exactly who she wanted to be.
Huh.
Yeah, and everyone argues with me. Well, he put on the Leatherman jacket. Yeah, but did you see how fast he threw that thing away the second he saw her in the leather?
But it's funny, and I'm sure you're on that road, if not there already. But it's funny because it was a different time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we believed.
Yeah.
And I've said this a million times. 50s and 60s, everybody wanted the husband and wife and 2.5 children and a white picket fence. And that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
I mean, and the people. One of my talks I want to have with Zach, I have a list of ideas, and one of them is race. And you go, here's this a mixed family, and you go, oh well, that's not right. That wasn't right back in the 50s, but you're in a different era now.
This is a whole
and I want to smack people upside the head and go, this is your life now. And to impress upon you and anybody who wants to listen to me on my soapbox, none of that crap matters. All that matters is how happy you are. And you need to find a way to get you to that happiness. Quit worrying about all that other shit. Quit worrying about the mean girls.
Yeah, they're not worth it. Don't sit at the table.
Exactly.
I mean, unless you are a mean girl and it's worth it for you, but if you feel like you're the odd man out, you probably should go find your table because...
Exactly. So now you're in Fernley.
Yeah, Fernley, Nevada.
And
for anyone who doesn't know, that's 20 minutes outside of Reno.
I've been to Reno.
Yeah,
Reno, everybody Nevada. Keeps asking, have you been to Vegas?
Everyone knows what Reno, Nevada is.
I have not been to Vegas. I have been to Reno.
Yeah,
it was fun.
I've been to both. I lived in Reno.
So how did you get to the frozen tundra?
Oh, that's a long story too. So
we made our trek in a wagon.
You want to get even crazier with this? My entire family is from the Nevada, California area. My dad's side and my mom's side. My dad's mom, Grandma Cheryl, when she lost her second husband to brain tumor, she decided that she was just gonna up and leave. And she had a best friend who lived in Marinette, Wisconsin. And she decided she was going to move up there with her best friend.
That's a long trek.
So she bought a house in Marinette, Wisconsin.
Wow.
And she moved all 4 of her kids. And at the time, my mom and dad were kind of still living with her, or kind of they're close to her still.
Yeah.
My mom was pregnant with me, and we all moved up there as well. So while I was living in Nevada the whole time, my entire family on my dad's side
was up in Marinette.
Is up here in Menominee, Michigan, Marinette area. So my grandma Cheryl, who's very close, was always extremely close to her. She was the grandparent that babysat all the time. She was the one who helped raise me. All 3 of my uncles and my dad lived up here. They were all fathers to me growing up. I don't really feel like they were uncles to me. I feel like they were fathers. They're extended versions of. I always say that I got the best of every man out of the 4 of them because each of them had things about them that were different men things. And Grandma Cheryl got really sick. She started with emphysema. The doctor told her that she had to quit smoking. She was smoking since she was 7 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And
because that's what we did back then. Yeah, again, I'll repeat.
Yeah. And when growing up, my entire family smoked. They smoked in the house, in the cars, because
that's what you did.
Normal 90s stuff.
Yeah.
We barely started wearing seatbelts. So, but I remember her never not having a cigarette in her hand. I can tell you that she would have a cigarette in her hand, and before that one was done, she'd have another one lit, ready to go.
No, you use that one to light the next one.
Yep, that was her. So when they told her she had to quit smoking or she was going to die, she did. She got breast cancer, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2011. I know this because it was the year that Alice was born. She had the whole, I can't remember what the name of it is.
Mastectomy?
She had the whole breast removed. And when they did that, when they were getting her ready for that surgery and everything, they found CPOD. And they found out that she was already stage 2, I believe, at that time. After the surgery, she dramatically
went downhill.
So
should have started smoking again.
Yeah.
Do something that makes you happy. You're going downhill. You might as well. No, I'm sorry, that's probably wrong. But
so by 2014, she was already stage 4. And that's when I realized, like, she had not met Alice yet. She had not met my husband Jake yet. She'd only met Emma once, and it was when Emma was 1 year old. And I didn't feel good about my girls never experiencing that grandmother.
Yeah.
She was a very important part to me.
Yeah.
And I wanted her to be an important part to them as well. And I also did not want to be there when she went.
Yeah.
And so it was very important to me to find a way to get up there. And my grandmother on my mom's side was able to provide that for me.
Nice.
In 2015.
Huh.
So I took it.
So you kind of skipped over a little bit there.
Yeah, there's a chunk. But you did it.
I know.
You asked how I got here.
I know. So you pushed that aside. You pushed Nevada aside. How's that?
What do you mean? Like,
you pushed everything from Nevada aside and came up here.
Yeah. So that was, I mean, it was scary. Of course. Any big thing is scary. But honestly, I don't know what it was. I think I just didn't care. I think I was so focused on, like, I need to be here. I need to be near grandma. I need to be near this family that I honestly, that first part of my adulthood in Nevada was so terrible. Like, I mean, we couldn't keep an apartment for longer than 6 months. We were choosing between gas, electric, food, or rent. And when I say that, I don't mean we were able to pay like 2 or 3 and not the others. I mean, we were able to pay 1 and not the others.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of times of spending the weekend without gas or electric.
So is this, did you work at all? So your ex-husband has a job, yes, no? Sometimes.
Me and my ex-husband were together for 8. This is how I explain this to people. Me and my ex-husband were together for 8 years. We got together right out of high school, 2017. I got pregnant with Emma in high school. He went into the military. He got fired.
Discharged? Whatever.
It was other than honorably.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's fired.
Dishonorably.
Nope.
No?
His papers say other than honorably.
Nice.
So he was fired.
Okay.
From the Marines.
Okay.
And when he came home from that, he had a job maybe a total of 2 of the 8 years we were together. Like, if you just took bits of him working and stuck them together, it was about 2 years.
So, and you? Did you have a job or no?
I never not had a job.
Never not had a job.
Yeah. I think the only time I didn't have a job is after Alice was born. I wasn't working until she was about 1 year old.
And that was there or here?
No, actually, that was Idaho. Yeah. So there's a whole different chunk that we just skipped over. We were living in Reno, Nevada when I was pregnant with Alice. We were about to lose everything. The apartment, everything. Just everything was to shambles. Even our relationship was pretty shambles. And his mother offered for us to come live up there with her. So we did that. We moved up there with her. There was a lot of us living in that house, actually, because at that time, 2 of his other siblings were also living in that house. His older brother and his older sister. And then we had Emma, who was 3 at the time, and Alice, who was just being born. And while we lived there, I tried to provide as much as I could by helping around the house. I cooked dinner every night. I did the dishes. I cleaned the house. Fed the horses. I ran the horses. I fed the 4 or 5 dogs. I don't remember how. There was a lot. 3 cats.
Were you appreciated for that?
I don't know.
Did it feel like it was part of the rent, if you will, that I have to help out?
I took it as this was my way of contributing while Jake was attempting to find some sort of work to help provide.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was conveyed through either way, whether they thought I was providing or whether I think there was a lot of misunderstanding at that time. Because they also felt like I was unappreciative of the things that were given to me at that time.
Why?
I truly don't know.
Mm.
And I've never. There's a lot of hurt when it comes to that side of his family. And so I've never really asked either.
So I have an issue that you just made me think of is I'm going to be prejudiced and say men in America. I don't understand why you think the behavior, not you, why people think the behavior that you just described in your ex-husband is acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not realize, and I use the term, not everybody's a rocket scientist, I get it, not everybody is smart and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But on a core level, don't you have to understand that, okay, I'm an adult now, and I need to, at a minimum, take care of myself.
Yeah.
And to do so, that means I have to have a job, to have income, to provide a roof over myself, over my head, and food in my body.
Yeah.
And I get very irritated when I see so many people, I don't know what the term is, leeching or whatever, off of other people and not have a worry about it, not have a care about it. That's one of my biggest irritations is, you're an adult, come on. You can't, I understand stupidity, I really do, but you can't be that stupid. But people are.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're in Idaho.
Yep.
And how do you get from Idaho to here? You said, fuck this.
Well, actually, I didn't. And Jake got kicked out.
Of his grandma's house?
Of his mom's house.
Oh, his mom's house.
Because he wasn't providing. We were there for 6 months.
So hold on, but you were kind of.
I didn't get kicked out.
Oh.
let me put that right there. I didn't get kicked out,
son.
Yeah.
You can't let.
No, it was a whole conversation. And the thing is I even because she wanted to kick him out the day she had the conversation, and I convinced her to give him 30 more days. We had already been there for 6 months, and he wasn't providing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that he wasn't providing to her household; he wasn't providing to anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what do you do on a normal day?
See, this is where I go back to what he did for work. He found jobs that were like being a bouncer or a lifeguard or little side jobs. And so
that was to try to appease people that I do have a job, by the way.
He was a bouncer. And so he slept all day because he'd work all night.
Yeah.
Being a bouncer. But he was doing some stuff that at that time that wouldn't deem appropriate, and his family knew, and I didn't. And it made for very awkward mornings around the breakfast table. So there was a lot of arguments about me looking fucking stupid.
So you finally got it in your head to say, fuck this? Or no?
No,
you kept right on the path.
Yeah. So
Because that's what you women do.
yeah, so he got kicked out of his mom's, and his dad bought him a plane ticket to go back to Nevada. So he went back to Fernley. He got himself a job, an actual real big boy job,
Nah.
and
Doing
was
what?
making good money. He was working for a call center for AT&T.
Okay.
And he was really good at it. He was getting the bonuses. He was at that time. If you were that's when AT&T had the Uverse is what they used to call it.
Yeah.
And it was really they were really trying to sell it because it was new. And so if you sold it, you got like a $200 bonus. Like if you were able to sell it to someone.
Yeah.
So he was killing it. He got us a house. It was the first time we've ever rented anything bigger than a 1-bedroom apartment. We actually had it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Wow.
It was really nice. In Fernley. He got himself a car, and then he moved me and the girls
Back
with him. He used that time with that job to do things with almost every female that he possibly could get his hands on. So
I don't know if you knew this about me, but I'm a pretty big deal now.
Yeah, he was making the money, so now he could afford the hotels.
Oh yeah.
To go do stuff with them after work.
Yeah. And you won't care, will you? Because you'll never find out.
Yeah, that was a whole thing. So that ended sadly in destruction. We had a friend who was pregnant with her 4th child, and her husband was a drunk, and they were about to lose their apartment. I moved them into our house. I gave them our 3rd bedroom. And then another friend got sent home from the military, and he had nowhere to live, so he was on our couch. And then another friend who lost his house, and he was on our couch. And then I don't know all the details behind all of this, because at the time I was told, you don't need to work. I've got this. You don't need to worry about finances. I've got this. And so I was trying not to worry about anything, and I was trying to focus on just housework and the children and being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't focus on any of that because I knew he was doing stuff behind my back. So I was focused on figuring out what he was doing. And he lost everything. He just stopped paying things, I guess. I don't know. I don't know when he lost his job.
I was just
because he was still going to work. But the car got taken. That was the first thing. The car got taken. And literally a day after the car got taken, we had a note on the front door that said we had 5 days. We had 5 days to leave or pay, and we couldn't pay.
Yeah.
So.
And did he ever tell you how he lost his job?
Nope. I never asked. I didn't really care. So then an incident happened in that house that day, and I told him he needed to go live with his dad. So that was that. We separated. That was the second time we separated. We were actually divorced a year after we were married, so that was the first time we were separated. And that whole group of friends that we were all living with, we all found a house in the Indian reservation near Fernley. We lived there for a little while. And then me and the other female that I lived with got a job at Amazon. We were making really good money. They moved into another house that was bigger and nicer. And I got myself my own 1-bedroom apartment with the girls.
Nice.
And then he snuck back in.
He snuck back in. Somehow he picked the lock on the door.
There was an agreement, and he stuck to it. And so I stuck to my side of it. He wanted to try to make things better, and he wanted to try and make things up. I told him that he needed to tell me everything, and he did. So I knew everything. And I said, I appreciate you for telling me everything, but now we need help. And I was like, so if you're not willing to go to counseling and get help, I'm not willing to make this a thing. And he did. We did. We started going to what they call CR, which is a Christian-based recovery group. It's a 12-step program, just like AA. I mean, it's identical. The 12-step program is, but they work through
My
anything.
name is Jake and Cheryl, and we have a problem. Hi, Jake and Cheryl.
Yep, but they work through anything from love and relationship addiction to alcohol to drugs.
Huh.
I was there for codependency. I was there for snooping because I struggled. He was there for sex addiction, and at the time he had a gambling addiction as well. And we did it. We worked through everything, and we were doing pretty good. And then he started truck driving, and we were still doing really well. But he was very reserved. Like, he would keep being like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
It was very much a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Of not knowing every day whether he wanted to keep working on the relationship or leave.
Mm.
And there were times where I was tired of the roller coaster, so I'd be like, no, I'm done. But then, like I said, but when I...
Oh, come on, baby. You know you love me.
So when my grandmother told me that she would pay for us to move to Wisconsin, I told him, I said, here's what I'm being offered. I want to take it.
Uh-huh.
Are you willing to come with me? And he said yes. So we didn't need to get him a plane ticket because he's truck driving. So the plan was that while he was out on his, long haul, that me and the girls would fly to Green Bay, and then he would just change his home address with his company. No problem. Well, the day we have all of our stuff in the moving truck ready to go to Green Bay, he tells me, well, I don't think I want to move. And this is after we've already packed everything in the truck. His stuff is in the truck too. It's gone. Like, it's already heading. And I go, well, that sucks because all your shit's already on the truck.
And I'm not taking it out.
And so I didn't care what he said to me at that point. I didn't care. I was off the roller coaster at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we were still in a relationship, but I was off the roller coaster.
She counted to 3.
I was doing my own thing. So, yeah, I came up here. And then he called me one day while I was up here and told me, I don't think I can trust you when we're not together, so I don't think we can do this.
Hold on. You don't think you can trust me?
Yeah. Well, I had my share of things. I stand by the fact that I never did anything inappropriate when we were on. But I had my share. So I understood, but I also was like, okay, but here's the deal. If you're really breaking it off with me this time, I'm done. There is no coming back, ever.
Yeah.
There is no us getting back together, ever. I am 100% done. And I don't know if he just didn't think I was real this time or what.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And he found out a couple months later that I was for real.
So you're done.
Yep.
And you're in Green Bay or where?
I'm in Green Bay. I'm living at the Deckner Apartments with my grandmother, my dad, and my Uncle Rick.
Okay.
And my 2 kids.
Okay. And now you need to support yourself.
Yep.
So what do you do?
So my dad got me a job at the grocery store, the University Avenue Market, in the deli, which is where my grandma Cheryl used to work for, oh my gosh, I don't know, like 15 years. She worked in the deli of that place for a long time.
Wow.
My dad is a manager there. Has been for a long time. I love you.
Yeah. Love you.
So I was like, okay, yeah. And so I was working in the deli of that market. And it wasn't a lot of money. I was making $7.50 an hour, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Even in 2015, that is nothing.
Yeah.
So I still wasn't really being able to provide anything other than maybe putting food in the cupboards for me and the girls.
Yeah. You were survival mode.
So yeah, we were in survival mode, and my dad and my grandmother were doing a lot for us at that time. I mean, a lot. And I'm so grateful for that. I found out from the other workers in the deli that literally everyone else in the deli, even people who just got hired on, were making $9 an hour. And I was the only one in the deli making $7.50. And so I looked on Craigslist and I found this company called QTI who does
temp work or whatever.
Work.
Yeah.
And they said they were paying $10.50 an hour, which was far better than $7.50.
Yeah.
And that they were hiring on the spot. And so I applied. I got called within the hour. I had Dad drive me to the temping agency. They drug tested me and did the interview and said, "You're hired." And I said, "Great." I was originally hired to work in an ice cream cone factory here in Green Bay, but they were not ready for temp workers yet. They still had a couple months before they were going to be needing us.
Yeah.
And so they were like, "Well, since you need work right now, we have this company that's out in Denmark, and it has a bus that picks up in Green Bay, so you don't need vehicle."
At the mall?
Because I didn't have vehicle.
Yeah, at the mall?
Yep, it picks up at the Easttown Mall.
Yep.
And it also picks up somewhere on the west side.
At the big mall.
No.
It does.
Does it?
It does, because I actually questioned somebody, because there was like two school buses sitting there, and I go, and it was kind of next to the bus stop. You know how they have out front the bus stops? It was in the parking lot, but right behind that, I was like, what's that? And they go, those are Psalms buses.
Oh.
And I was like, really?
Well, then they've changed places then.
Oh.
Because I don't know. They're changing again too. The west side's changing. I think on March, I think it's a 20-something or something like that. They're changing where the west side's getting picked up again. I don't know. They're always changing stuff. But either way, it was good. They're
providing you transportation.
Yeah, it was good for me because at the time, I was doing everything by city bus.
Yeah.
I had no transportation. So me and the girls were doing everything by city bus. And I said, they were like, it's third shift at Psalm Partners. And I said, I think I can make that work because Dad worked at the grocery store, but he didn't work third shift at the grocery store. So
Dad could take you and drop you off and then pick you up in the morning?
No. So Dad.
So how did you get to the mall?
So this was fun. So Dad worked with a lady named Kelly. Kelly agreed to watch the girls for an hour every night before Dad would get off. And so I would take the city bus with the girls to Kelly's house, drop the girls off with Kelly, and then take the city bus to the mall where I'd get picked up by the Psalms bus. And I did that. And then in the morning, he would pick me up with the girls from the mall where the Psalms bus would drop us off. And we did that for quite a while. And then my uncle passed away in the apartment while we were living in it. He was an on-again, off-again, well, not really an off-again, just kind of on-again alcoholic. I mean, it was extreme for him. He had been doing it almost all of his adult life. And he was very known for secluding himself when he would be like in it. When I first moved up
so he goes to a quiet room and sits with a bottle and okay.
So when I moved up here to Wisconsin, he was actually not at the apartment at the time because he was in a recovery house. And when he came home from that recovery house, he was doing pretty well for a little while. But then we started seeing little signs here and little signs there, and we were like, okay, he's doing it again. But he was trying to keep getting off of it himself, which when you're that, I don't know if anyone knows this, but when you're that much of an alcoholic, you can't do it by yourself. You need doctors, you need medicine.
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing that. He
Yeah.
was just trying to stop himself.
Yeah.
He was having grand mal seizures. His blood pressure was out of control. And like I said, when he'd go on a bender, he'd seclude himself. He was known to seclude himself, call in from work. He worked at the grocery store as well, so we knew, when he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And he locked himself in his room, and we hadn't heard from him in a few days. But what caused my dad to go check on him was that we hadn't even heard him go to the bathroom. And so when me, Grandma, and Dad were all talking about when's the last time any of us
Seen him,
had heard him go to the bathroom, we all had realized it'd been at least 2 days since anyone had seen him go to the bathroom. And
so it was your dad that found him, or did you all go?
no, I went to work.
Oh, okay.
Because Dad was like, well, I'm sure it's fine. Because my
Yeah.
dad's like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, all right, if you think it's fine. Because they would know. They've been living with him for years now. So I was like, all right, well, if you guys say it's fine, then I'm going to go to work. I went to work. I got a call while I was at work that Dad went in there to check on him. And he waited until the girls went to bed and went and checked on him, and he was gone. So I came home from work.
Yeah.
Needless to say. So yeah, that was upsetting. So almost immediately after that, Grandma went into a nursing home because she got really sick. And Dad was just like, I don't want to live here anymore.
Yeah,
It kind of puts a damper on things.
Yeah. The whole headspace thing is this is what happened and this is what I seen, and I don't want to be in this place anymore.
Well, and I think there's an immense amount of guilt that comes with it too when you haven't. My dad has always been the caretaker of his family.
Uh-huh.
He's the oldest of the 4 boys, and even when they were younger, he's always been the caretaker of his mom. He's always been the caretaker of his brothers. And so I think for him to find that, and for him to find that so many days later, I think that was
killer.
I think
bad
that was
pun,
extremely difficult.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll bet.
So I know there's guilt. I have guilt. So I know he has to feel.
Yeah.
So
where did so now your grandma moves into a nursing home. That leaves you and your dad and the girls. So then what do you do?
So I had met a girl at work. Her name was Maggie.
By the way, I need to jab you a little bit here, okay?
Oh.
I'm jabbing you because.
Are you making me talk about that part?
No. No, I'm telling you why I'm jabbing you.
Okay.
When I married you and Zach.
Yeah.
Somewhere right before that, and I quote, "I'm not emotional," and you cried at your wedding. And so I seen you get a little misty-eyed there. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. You're not emotional, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, go on. That was my jab.
I'm older. I have things.
Yeah. You have feelings that are growing out of that you never had. Where are these coming from?
It's different when you have a family member pass.
Yeah.
Everything about you changes.
So again, back on the track is Grandma's in a nursing home, and you and your dad and the girls go where?
Okay, so we were in the apartment at that moment, but I had made a friend at work at Psalms, and we were extremely close, and we had decided that we wanted to get our own place together, but things kind of just, I didn't have the greatest credit, and a lot of places were asking for a credit or asking for another person to sign.
Yep.
And so I had let her know that, and instead of being like, okay, well, let's go together, she decided to take off to Mississippi.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, cool. So I turned to my dad and I said, hey, do you want to go get a place together? And he's like, you sure you want to live with me? And I was like, I have no problem living with you, Dad.
Yeah.
Like, I spent 13 years without you. We can have some time.
Yeah.
So we found the house I'm in now.
Uh-huh.
And my dad was in such a hurry to get out of the apartment that he was like, yeah, we'll take it. And they were like, well, you sure you don't want us to get some work done? And he's like, no, you can get the work done while we live there. That's fine. We just like to move into it.
Yeah.
And my dad told him, he's like, I don't mind if you guys come in and do work while we're here. But we'd like to move into it as soon as possible. And we did. Yeah.
So there are a couple things that I said in my disclaimer in the beginning, so that they're coming in now.
Mm-hmm.
So these are a couple stories relatable to what you went through, to what I went through, and the light bulb effect that went off in my head. And there's a couple things that I need to, how about this, impale you with.
Impale. I'm being impaled. We know how well I do with that.
So I grew up in what I'd say is middle class. My dad worked at a factory and made a fair enough money that my mom stayed home and worked, and she did library work as a volunteer, whatever. So we were okay. We didn't live the high lifestyle that some people that around us lived in, but we did okay. But I found myself working for a friend's glass company. And through that, I met Lori and blah, 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 blah. And there's that word epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
So Lori is pregnant now. If I had to guess, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6 months pregnant. And the light bulb went off. And, to your $7.50, I think was mine $2.75.
Yeah.
And we had an apartment in an extremely bad area that her aunt and uncle lived in, and on the ground floor, no less, too. Side story, my truck was parked right outside our apartment, and somebody was trying to steal the battery out of it one night.
Lovely.
I came out with a shotgun that had no shells in it.
But it doesn't matter.
And I went,
yeah, you just got scared.
And my dad says, what would you have done if he turned on a gun? I said, I'd have ran probably.
Yeah. I closed my door.
Oh, shit, yeah. But it was at that point that the light bulb went off in my head, and I approached my best friend's dad, owned the company, and approached him in the parking lot and said, hey, and this is, I get it after the fact, but I approached him and said, hey, my wife's pregnant. I need more money. And he said, quite frankly, we don't have any more money to give. And I get it now, but back then I was like, oh, I need more money, thinking, oh, so you're supposed to give me more money because my wife's pregnant? It's kind of my fault. I shouldn't be asking you for more money for what I did. I should be saying, hey, I worked this good to get a raise, but whatever. So he did, and it was at that point that the light bulb went off and said, I need to do something better. Mm-hmm. I need to get something better. Mm-hmm. So that's point one. I went to work for a glass distributor in Bettendorf, and I'm doing my job. Everything's going good. I'm coming to work in sweatpants and usually a cut-off sleeve flannel shirt most of the time. But I worked in the warehouse, did my job, didn't interact with a lot of people, got to know the warehouse extremely well. I'm a big numbers guy, and if somebody said, hey, where's this part? I knew where it was. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think anything of it to me, okay? So it's just whatever, and I'm working, and I was asked a couple times to fill in for the manager of the warehouse at the time because he's on vacation or something. And I'm like, again, I'm not realizing anything at all. Just doing my job. Just leave me alone, do my job. And I was making more money, not a lot, but more money to help us survive. And there was a guy that worked, we were a warehouse, but we had a retail arm that was nationwide. And there was a vice president that covered the whole nation that actually was in the office downstairs. And so I'm putting some glass away, and he's very nicely dressed. Not suit-wise, but he had nice shirt, nice pants. And this goes back to the tattoo thing that you guys were talking about, what the tattoos, I think it becomes normal. Back then it wasn't, like you talked about.
Yeah.
But he walked through the warehouse, and it was another one of those defining moments where he stopped and looked. I realized he stopped and looked at me, and there's this pause, and he went, huh, and he walked away. And I thought, ooh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. What the heck was that?
What the heck was that? But for some reason, in my head, in my sweatpants, in my cut-off flannel shirt, was like, you better clean your shit up. So, get this. So, I go home for lunch. I find the best pair of half-clean jeans I can put on. And I have a couple nice, they weren't dress shirts, but a couple nice shirts. And the nicest shirt I had grease spots.
Oh.
But it was better than the cut-off shirt. Something tells me, do what you need to do, because if he walks back through, So I did. So I've got these jeans on, I got this shirt on. I go back to work at 1 o'clock after lunch, and about 1:30, the speaker in the warehouse goes off and says, John, Roger would like to see you. Okay. And I'm thinking, okay, so I yell, okay. So I'm thinking, he's seen me in this, he's going to say, clean your shit up. But I already did that. So, And I walk into his office and I sit down, and I knew him, he knew me, but we weren't close at all. And he said, clean your stuff up. And I go, yeah. And he goes, you should have. If you want to advance in this company. And he said, I'm an older guy, but older guys are the guys that run companies. And they still look at how you look. And he said, I'm going to give you a big lesson right here. He said, it's great that you want to be out here in your sweatpants, but that's where you're going to stay. He said, you made a wise choice, however why you did, to clean yourself up. And with that, we are opening up a warehouse in St. Louis. And the guy I'm sending down there to run it needs an assistant. And from everybody I've talked to in the whole warehouse, you're the guy. And that is ingrained in my head that you were smart enough to go home and clean your shit up. Although, again, not the greatest fans, but it was better than what I did look like. But it's unfortunate and fortunate. Fortunate for me that I did that, but unfortunate that I have in the back of my head that people should look at your character and look at your abilities and see what you can do. And it's unfair. And I actually had something pop up on my Facebook thing. It's unfair to judge somebody by how they look. There was a guy with tattoos and stuff like that. And I said, it's unfair to do that. But real world is the older guy that's sitting at his desk looking at you. And that's what it is. And that's where you're going to stay unless you make that change to better yourself. Now, if I haven't said enough, I'll keep going. Cheryl, I love you to death.
What am I doing wrong?
She's going, oh God, here it comes. I love you to death. I think that you don't think that you're as smart and able as you are. I'm not saying you're a genius. But what I'm saying is you are working at Psalm. I honestly believe, I'm a very good judge of character. I hope I believe that in myself, that you can do so much better for yourself. Now, this goes back to the story you just told me the other day was, you look at Jessie, and she had to go to college and to get a CNA and da-da-da-da. And look where you are and look where she is. But I thought about that a lot, and it kind of pertains to me too, but you really have to look forward X number of years and go, where am I going to be? Do I want to be working on a line all my life?
Oh, no.
And if I don't, what steps am I taking right now to better that? And here again, I have so many struggles, Cheryl. It ain't funny, but here I am as this fat guy sitting at a desk all day. But I look at myself going, I'm not working in a warehouse, or I'm not working on a production line. And I worked on a production line a couple years ago and I almost died. But at my age, I don't think a person my age should be out there. There are people who do it, but I believe so much in your ability that what I can see and what I can hear, you should be doing so much better for yourself. That's what I believe in you. But that's neither here nor there, depending on what you want to do. So I'll swing back around to Roger, who I was talking to in his office. And so he's telling me about this place and what my position is and all this. And he goes, you're going to have to hire people to work for you. And in doing so, there's a lesson I need to teach you that you need to understand. What is that? You're going to hire somebody and all they want to do is drive a truck. And you can see that there's so much potential. But that's them, that's not you. And you have to understand, if that's all they want to do, then you need to let them do it. You can encourage them, but if that's all they want to do, and I go, God, Roger, I don't get that at all, because I want the world.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be president of the United States, but I definitely want to climb this ladder. And he goes, but that's not who they are. That's who you are. And you need to understand that, you know, the Too Many Chiefs Indians thing, you need the Indians to work for you.
Yeah. We need McDonald's workers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but you need to temper that to go, but if you see a talent, you need to tell the people that, hey, you have this talent, you have potential if you want to take that. And I have been blessed that a lot of the people that I've come to and said that to, they have progressed in their life because I made that statement to them that they never believed in themselves. They never. So I'm making that to you right now.
I don't feel like I've ever not believed in myself. I just feel like, I think the thing for me is that I came from such a low point in my younger adulthood that, I mean, these last 7 years, I'm going to be honest, have been amazing to watch. Like, if I could watch these last 7 years from the outside, it'd be my favorite fucking movie. Like, it's been incredible. The growth in which I came from this place where I mean, there was the last winter I spent in Nevada, my sink was ice. Me and the girls were huddled underneath 5 blankets in the living room.
Some people don't have ice, Cheryl.
Some people are under bridges, you know,
I know.
and we were close at times. And I'm eating food from a food bank. We don't have anything else in the fridge. It's literally just whatever the food bank gave us. I'm going to my mom's to take showers sometimes. I'm going to my mom's to eat dinner sometimes. Disclaimer, there's been months of straight eating lunch at Walmart because you can steal it. You can eat the hot food and then throw the packages away.
Lori tells that story that we conveniently showed up at my mom's house at 5:00 because we didn't have any money and any food. And hey, you guys are eating dinner now? You mind if we sit in?
Well, and it's funny because I look back at that and like we had once a week we'd go to my mom's for dinner, and we made it a thing though. We made it like, because me and my mom always watched Survivor and Amazing Race together. So she would just record them during the week, and then that one day on the week, we'd come over, we'd eat dinner, me and her would watch Amazing Race and Survivor. And so that was like, but what a lot of people didn't know, and I don't know if my mom really knew, is that was probably the one
time that you could
actual meal we'd have that week.
Yeah.
Other than whatever I could provide from the food bank. So, I mean, and there was a low time where I didn't even realize how little I was eating until my mom hugged me and said, I can feel all of your bones. And I've always had body dysmorphia. So I didn't even notice. I still thought I was fat. So
so now you're living on top of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm
So-
not saying this is it for me either.
That's my question.
I don't feel like this is it for me.
Uh-huh.
I just think I think I've plateaued a little just because I've taken a step back just to watch, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, like we have a 2018 truck. we have, I mean, I don't know how to explain this. to people.
No, I get
I don't
it.
know how to explain this to people who haven't been in a position that I've been in before.
Yep.
But I've been at the same job for 7 years. I've been in the same house for 7 years. I don't even remember doing that as a child.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. The only house I ever lived in as a child for long was the first one I lived in for 9 years. Everything else was like a year, maybe 2 at the most. My young adulthood was 6 months at a time.
That was the word that I was trying to find that Roger gave me, was people will plateau.
Plateau.
And that's, and God love them. Don't look down upon them, because that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny. I told Lori, in my last 5 years, I guess you'd say, my goal was to get back here.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got back here, there was this big, I'm making enough money. I love where I'm living. I love the community around me.
Mm-hmm.
There's everything we want is right here. And I had this big, in heart or mind or whatever, sigh. Okay, I'm good. And I had a big question mark to myself, was, are you that person now?
Have you plateaued?
Yeah. So you're comfortable now.
Yeah.
And I was for about 2 months.
And then you're not.
and then I'm talking to Lori.
You're like
going,
your son. You're a striver.
I'm talking to Lori going, yeah, I'm not thinking this is it.
That's about how long Zach does too. Every 2 months.
I don't want to move. I don't want to move at all again. But I said that to my boss when we had our career thing or whatever, and I said, no disrespect, but I want to keep going. And we joke about that about Tiffany, is where Tiffany's at, and have I created the monster that can never stop?
Yeah.
And I don't know that, but again, that's neither here nor there. That's who you are. And I would say to you, and what you just said is, I greatly appreciate having the ability to step back and go, holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah. But also, one of the things in my notes that I didn't bring up, that I don't know if it was the guy we watched today. So, do you know who Short Round is?
No, I don't think I do.
Indiana Jones.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so he just got a Golden Globe for Everywhere Else, and that movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which we watched, didn't really care for, but whatever.
Oh, all right.
But he got a Golden Globe for it. So So he tells the story that he's this big, and he got the world right now. And ever since then, he's got nothing.
Yeah.
And he said, I think when you're down here, it gives you the ability to appreciate
up here more.
Here. Yeah. And so you look at it as, and so back to you when you go, yeah, I want to step back and go, look what I have.
Yeah.
And that's great. So my question is, I think you answered, is, but you'd like to continue to progress?
You're wondering where it goes from here?
Yeah.
He wants to know where it goes from here. So
is there any kind of plan, or just
there's a little plan. There's plans. Some of them in the making, some of them I'm currently actually working on. So just so we're clear, I love my job.
Okay.
I enjoy machine operating like no fucking other. Like I've never enjoyed doing something so much in my entire life. I don't know what it is about getting my hands on those machines, but I love it so much. But I also am fully aware that I can't continue to do this job.
Yeah.
My body is falling apart around me.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening yet because I have to go to a doctor, but I have a foot thing that is making it extremely difficult to stand for 8 hours. Do
you have anything you stand on?
No, we stand on concrete.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Are you able to ask for, one of those? They use them in kitchens and stuff.
The
They're
mats?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, we have them. But
help at all or no? No?
I think the problem is that because I'm a machine operator, I have to walk the length of the machine every 10 minutes. So I can stand on the mat for 10 minutes. And
then you're back on concrete.
Yeah. And one of the problems I'm having right now is because I left the company and came back, I can't get new shoes for a year. So I'm still wearing
when did you start back?
I started back in September.
So you got to wait till September?
Before I can get new shoes. And I'm wearing shoes from 2 years ago. Because I didn't buy new shoes that year because these were still okay. No,
Cheryl. That's an excuse because you could go out and buy them yourself right now.
Yes. But I have to buy them through Shoes for Cruise, and they would be like $100 and almost $200.
Yep.
So.
But is it worth your health?
Well, and that's where we're going to see the doctor first to find out what it is.
Yeah.
If it is a matter of just getting
maybe
better
you could get
shoes,
like something in your shoe to adjust.
That's fine. But if it ends up being something, like I said, my family has things with feet.
Yeah. I was thinking about what you said before. Yeah.
Being a bone spur or something, that's not something I can really.
Yeah.
It's not something I can really stop.
Yeah.
Or change without medical intervention. So.
Yeah.
But I have had, in my life, I've had many things. Like when you're a little kid, they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know many things. Astronaut, doctor,
policeman,
policeman,
fireman.
So I always said, I've always loved animals. I've always been very driven by animals, and the more knowledge I can have on them, the more happy I am. Like I'm constantly looking stuff up and learning more, and it never ends. It never does. I just want to know. I want to know more. And so as a little kid, I always said veterinarian. And as you're going through school, I don't know, in the 90s, it was big on like, well, you have to have good grades to be a veterinarian. You have to. So when I got to middle school and I failed all of middle school. I don't even know how I moved on. I do know how I moved on because George Bush was president and he passed the No Child Left Behind Act.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, I get to go to high school.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it to high school.
Yeah.
But, when I failed middle school, all of a sudden I put it in my own head, you'll never be a veterinarian because you failed all of middle school. It doesn't even matter if you pass all of high school. They're going to look at your middle school grades and say, you can't be a veterinarian. That's what I thought. Yeah. Because of what I was told. Yeah. And so I gave that up. Well,
Cheryl, you got a
to be fair,
D- on a test in third grade.
Yeah. To be fair, though, as I became an adult, though, and learned more about what veterinarians do and even the small things that they have to do, I was like, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not it. I don't want to squeeze their glands in their buttholes. Thank you. Like, no, that's not okay.
Not all of it's pretty.
Yeah, I learned that.
Yeah.
And I said, that's not what I was thinking when I was 5. I was thinking I was going to get to spend all day petting things.
And them loving me back. And
so as an adult, I was like, well, you want to do something with animals, though. You want to, and as interested as I am in science and all that, and I just don't know if I'm a very family oriented person too, so I don't know if being like a scientist was really like something that I'd be into. Like I don't know if I'd be interested in traveling the world to go do biology and marine biology and all of that because I like my kids and I want to be near them. Yeah. So I decided as a young adult that one of these days, eventually, I am going to run my own doggy daycare and spa.
Nice.
And I want it to be very, I have this idea of how exactly I want it. And I want it to be very much like a top-end spa kind of feel. Like when you bring your dog in, the entrance looks like marble counters and like like a expensive spot would, like little smoky things in the back.
Wrap the little dog in his turban.
Yeah,
Put some cucumbers on his
cucumbers on his
eyes.
eyes, the whole 9 yards. And that I also would like to foster pets. I say pets because I love animals, so I'm considering fostering literally anything. So eventually I want land where I could build a shelter to foster in.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we did tell you about the place right over here.
Yeah, right over here. Yeah.
So I was like, holy cow, I must, I don't know that anybody talks about it, but do the numbers just in your head real quick and go, oh, there's money there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although the flip side, when you were talking about, didn't we send Kimberly to horse therapy? So a long time ago when she was a teenager, she went to horse therapy and she just loved it. Mm-hmm. But I had talked to the lady who owned the place and she goes, yeah, I just thank God my husband's got a good job because this does not make money.
Yeah, horses, man, they are expensive. Yeah.
So, but yeah, the doggy daycare sounds awesome. But we've been involved in a couple of them because we have a dog.
Yeah.
And I mean, just from an outsider's point of view, it looks like there's money to be had.
Well,
you just need your husband to keep his insurance.
Yeah, I'm gonna get bit a lot.
Yeah.
That's okay though. I can take being bit.
So you're in a happy place now.
Yeah, I'm comfortable.
Don't use that. It's a bad word to use.
I think the new thing right now for me is well, me and Zach have the podcast, and that's been fun. But I've decided that to get to where I need to go, I need to take an animal behavior course. And I need to learn how to groom dogs because you can't have a spa if you don't know how to groom them.
I know one of those people, by the way.
And I have a focus issue, so I know that if I'm going to work, if I'm working at Psalms, I'm not going to be able to focus on school also to do those things.
So you'll need to take time off to focus.
And so I'm working right now on I actually bought stuff to start making earrings. And that's where we're going to start with, and then eventually grow to making I want to make like buttons and pins for concerts.
So are you in a headspace where you realize that I'm going to have to start, I don't know how to say this, saving a ton of money somewhere that's somewhere down the road, but it's going to have to be, I'm totally drawing a blank of, it's going to have to be a disciplinary.
Yes.
That I know we want to go to Six Flags, but
yeah.
And so saying all that, I greatly love that idea. Do you have a time frame on that deal? Because unfortunately, you're not getting any younger.
Oh, I'm not. I feel it everywhere. I hate saying that because I've always said 30 is not old. I've always told other people that or whatever. But
I thought 25 was old when I was a teenager. I was like, oh my God, your brother is so old.
I remember being in my teenage years and my 20s and being like, 30 is not old. Like when people were like, oh, I'm old. I'm in my 30s. And I'm like, what are you talking about? 30 is not old. 30 is not old. And I'm in my 30s and I'm like, I feel it. Like, I know it only gets older from here, but like, there's things that have changed dramatically in my body and in my mind since I've turned 30 that are just like, wow, okay, that's new.
I told Zach, I clearly remember standing next to my dad's recliner and him saying, "You really need to enjoy life while you can, because in the snap of fingers, it's gone, and you're my age." And I'm like, whatever,
Yeah.
And I told Zach, I go, and now I'm there.
Yeah.
You realize that it does go by that fast. And, Lori and I talk about it all the time. It's like, you've been married 38 years and it feels like 5 or 10, I mean, it just goes by so fast. So back to you and going, so you need to get your shit together.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And start and tell Zach, by the way, I'm Zach, I'm saving a bunch of this money because this is my goal, and I'm gonna need some of your money to
I don't know, man.
Don't you love me?
I have to say, I think one of the things that's nice about our relationship is the money aspect of it. It's weird to say, but it's not my money or his money. Like, it doesn't, even though it goes into separate bank accounts, we use each other's cards all the time. Like, he has my card in his wallet, like, because I have 2 cards to my bank account. And I don't know, it's just not, I don't know. I grew up in a family where it was your money and your money.
Yeah.
And even my mom and my stepdad are very much, this is my money, this is your money. And like, if my mom needs money, she has to ask and like give a reason, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'm grateful I'm not in that.
I don't want to live that way.
But also, that wasn't like a dig at my stepdad either, because like, I get it.
Yeah.
And my mom she likes to spend money. And I get it.
And somebody gets a raise on her.
My mom also has come from a space where it was like, I didn't have anything. So for her to have money now, she's like, oh my God, I could have things.
I was actually going to go down that road too with you is, and just from us personally too, is because we were, I told my kids all the time, it's the macaroni and cheese dinners that we ate, and it was Aldi's macaroni. It wasn't Kraft. It was, we didn't have ramen noodles back then.
Yeah, I know.
But you get to the point where you start making more money, and you go, oh, I can buy this, and it's not even a second thought. But as you get older, now you go, that's just stuff, and I need to put money aside to do this and things that'll make us happy, like traveling and going out somewhere. So there's a point where you got to go, okay, we need to stop. We have money. I get we have money, but we need to save for Cheryl's dreams right now.
Yeah.
What is that wrong?
Where you're going.
Am I derailing or something?
I don't know why we're saving just for Cheryl's dreams. Why wouldn't Cheryl's dreams be part of Zach's dreams?
No, that's not an option here.
Why would Zach want dogs in the house? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, we could go down that road too. I didn't know I wanted 12 kids in my house either, but there they were.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the worker bee to support her dreams. Duh.
Yeah, and I think that's where the timeline is hazy, because we're both discovering things like dream-wise as far as us, and we're both trying to figure out right now who's gonna go where, like who's gonna go first, or which is gonna go first. Because I've also told him that if he wants to quit working and just work on his book, that I 100% will support that, and I'll work for however long that takes. So I think right now it's just a matter of, right now we're just kind of navigating on which path we're going down right now.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, like I said, I think that's where the timeline frame is hazy for me, because it's like, well, I don't know, because it depends on if Zach wants to work on his book right now.
Well, I could be the dad and tell you, yeah, Cheryl's got this thing over here that seems like it could make a lot of money, and
but the thing is,
books.
Everyone's always going to have dogs.
Yeah,
Dogs
But-
are never
but-
going to go away.
But over here, you want to write a book, and yeah, I get it.
Wow.
But who says that book won't
Could-
make us enough money
True,
to kickstart
true. But
that?